Hi, everybody. Karen here. I'm back with another podcast, and I am coming to you from Mexico. I got back here a couple of weeks ago now, and again, for anyone who might be just listening on audio again, totally cool. But I'm actually recording video now as well, and it is on my YouTube, Karen Maloney Life, Inside Out Life, Alchemist, or something like that is my name. But I am fresh out of a Dr. Joe Dispenza week-long retreat in Cancun, which has been on my vision board for years. And I tried to go before, and just the stars didn't align. I was in a waiting list. I forgot the times were open. And by the time I got on to buy my ticket, I was in a queue of like 700 people. Again, just to say, I'm in Mexico. It's super loud at times. If you hear noise outside, inside, whatever, así es la vida en México. There's a lot of noise in Mexico. But uh, yes, so I had tried, I was in a queue of like 700 people. I didn't get a ticket. So I was like, cool, not my time. And then last November, I kind of forgot about it. I mean, it was in my vision board. Like everything, you kind of look at something for so long, you don't really see it. So it was there subliminally. I wasn't overly anxious or eager or like, oh my God, this needs to happen now. No, but last November, when I was back home in Ireland, it just dropped in one day into my mind. I was like, oh, and I really wanted to go to Cancun. So I was like, I wonder what dates he has for 2026 for Cancun. And then I saw he had one at the start of February, just gone. And the event was open, it was for sale, and there were still tickets left. And this was last November. And I was like, wow, I think this is a sign. So I just bought my ticket straight away. I jumped in. I was like, yes, now is the time. And that, when you follow your intuition, and that's the way things go when it is the time. It's just like boom, 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 it's done. It's not this whole big process, this over analyzing, this backwards and forwards. Often, if we're in that kind of energy, if it's not a clear hell yes, then it's a no at that time. Whereas this was just done before I could even think about it. And I was like, woo, I am so excited. So finally got here, lived it, had kind of no idea what to expect. I have followed his work for years. I've read his books. I love them. I've listened to loads of his interviews and podcasts. And to be honest, when I first started listening to him years and years ago, I found his information very hard to understand. My mind was trying to compute, going, oh, what's he saying? Hang on, I will pause and be like, a thought creates a chemical, or an emotion is the end product of an experience, and all these things. And again, like everything, the more you put yourself in the information and observe and repeat, the more it becomes normal. So I love his lingo, I get it. But I'd never really done many of his meditations. And again, he kind of made a joke about it. He joked about it a lot, his meditations and his voice during his meditations, and like how he'd get emails given out going, why would you talk about space for so long and all these things? But now, having lived it, it's all extremely intentional. But I laughed because I was like, I was that person when I listened to some of his meditations before. I was like, what the hell is this? All he's talking about is space. It's going nowhere. Nothing is happening. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And I was like, his voice sounds weird. Like, I don't know about this. Loved his work, the interviews, but I actually hadn't really done many of his meditations at all. Like, literally a handful. And we had the progressive online course access to that before the advanced, because this was an advanced workshop. So we had to have done the progressive online course before going to the retreat. So that was the first time I really did some of his meditations consistently. And now, again, consistently, I did not do them every night. Maybe I did one a week for a couple of weeks, or twice a week and things like that. And again, I was a bit like, oh, what is this? But I did them, I enjoyed them. But when I was there, it really all connected. And like they're long. During this retreat, we were up at like 5 a.m. every morning, pretty much in the room for 6 a.m. or on the beach doing a walking meditation at 6:45 a.m. until 7 or 8 p.m. And on one of the days, the Saturday, I was actually up at 3 a.m. in the room present, started for 4 a.m. on the dot for a 5 hour meditation on the pineal gland. Like, that is not something I ever expected. That is not something I ever thought I would be able to stay present for and live through. And again, like everything, there's a level of discomfort with everything. And when we stay present and we're willing to show up for ourselves and commit to ourselves and do the work, magic lies on the other side. And we actually are so much more capable than we realize. And oh, I was so proud of myself after that meditation. I mean, people were dropping like flies, even around me. I could see, obviously, it was sitting up. So I sat on the ground with my back upright, sitting up, and there was some parts lying down where we had to breathe really actively, again, just to keep us awake. And then we had to sit up again. And and we were looking at kaleidoscopes images as well on the screen at one stage. So that was the only time my blindfold was off. And it was only then I could see people around me had just laid down. They'd just given up, fallen asleep. So I was really proud of myself at actually how present I stayed. I floated off once or twice into my mind, but then I was like, nope. And that was part of my story. There was a lot going on internally in my inner masculine and feminine, and that's a story I can share another time. But I really felt like my inner masculine was there, honoring my feminine, holding space, and just be like, you take as long as you need. I am going nowhere. And it was that awareness, that consciousness, because the masculine is kind of the conscious mind and the feminine is more the subconscious. And my masculine, my conscious mind was alert, was present, and was like, I'm going nowhere. I've got this. So that was a whole experience in and of itself. And for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I ended up doing a 3 day water fast throughout my 7 days. Once the Thursday hit, again, wasn't in my mind, hadn't intended, but Thursday, I'm very intuitive. I trust my intuition. I definitely don't recommend this for people. Like I say, it came through completely organically for me. On Thursday, it just came through to fast. Like Thursday night, I had my meal and I was like, that's it, not eating now again, or fasting and just staying on the hydrogen water because I'd wanted to do another 3 day water fast. God, the synchronicities, like how things line up. I had wanted to do another 3 day water fast at some stage, especially since starting the hydrogen water, because I've heard within the community people doing it and what a difference it makes and how much quote unquote easier it is. I mean, it's always going to be a challenge, but how much easier it is on the hydrogen doing the 3 day water fast. So that was the message I got clearly for me to do a fast. So I fasted all day Friday. Then the Saturday was the pineal gland meditation. And again, I'm not going to lie to you, I was a bit like, you know, is this okay? Like, should I really be doing this, having no food when it's already so intense and a 5 hour and there's a lot of active breath work and just being awake at that time and all the energy? But again, I tuned in. I was like, no, I'll be okay. Again, I am not advocating, I am not telling anyone what to do. I was listening to my intuition and it was the divine right message for me. So just disclaimers all around. Sharing my personal experience, that's it. So anyway, it was amazing. It was incredible. And I think not having food in my system either actually helped me stay more present and my body be more present because it wasn't, there was no energy going elsewhere trying to digest food and things like that. So that was the Saturday, really, really powerful. And again, then we meditated for the day. We were walking meditation, science lectures, and the Friday lecture, all about the brain and the brain chemistry and neurotransmitters and how when we move into a different frequency and energy, automatically our body turns on our own inner pharmacy and makes these already potent antioxidants, and neurotransmitters like serotonin and melatonin and amps them up into what pretty much DMT and all these other kind of things. I can't remember the big names. Beta carboline was one of them. I can't remember the big long names of all of them, but just how powerful we are. And again, it became clear to me that we are the medicine. Like I've heard for years, everything lies within, all the answers lie within. We are the medicine. And Dr. Joe Dispenza's week-long retreat and his information and scientific evidence and research that he has been gathering for the last 10 years and more, that is proving everything that I've known and felt and lived by. Again, even intuition, pretty much for my whole life, my intuition has been very strong, even though I didn't have language, I didn't know what it was, it didn't make logical or rational sense. I lived from my analytical, logical mind, but when these intuitive pangs or messages come in, I just knew to trust, even though I could not explain why I was doing the complete opposite to anything that seemed anyways logical. So I followed that and trusted that my whole life. And again, things have worked out in ways I could never have imagined. So I had conviction for myself because I'd built enough evidence and trust throughout my life, but seeing his actual scientific evidence and research as well, proving that the invisible world is more real than this world. This is only 1% of 99 or of 100% of, say, the sum total. And 99% of the information lies in the frequencies, lies in the void, lies in the stuff, in the immaterial, and in the things that we cannot see. That's where all potential and magic and mysticism lies, but it's not actually magic and mysticism. It is scientifically proven to be real. It is absolutely 100% real. What you cannot perceive and feel and know beyond your senses, that this 3D material world is just the hologram. It is not the real deal. It is not the sum total. And when we are overly fixated on just what our senses can see, touch, feel, taste, we are missing out on 99% of reality. Like this is, and I'm doing all around me, and he did like, this is me, huge, everything all around me. And this physical piece of me that I can touch, my body, my vessel, my avatar, is my suit for the immaterial, for the unseen as well. So that whole scientific lecture, especially the day before the pineal gland meditation, for me just confirmed everything. And I loved learning about it. And it probably helped me to go deeper and really stay present in the pineal gland meditation as well, and just go all in. And I loved it. And then the Sunday it finished, and so much happened in between. And again, it's reminded me, like I said earlier, no matter what we're doing, when it comes to change, when it comes to creating a new habit, when it comes to changing our mind, moving beyond ourselves, or any modality for that fact, whether it's breath work, yoga, Pilates, exercise in general, rapid tapping, plant medicines, whatever we are doing, there's always going to be a level of discomfort. But the level of discomfort is not a reason to stop. It's actually an invitation to go deeper, because beyond the discomfort is where we get the gold, is where we get the growth, is where all the magic and the infinite potentials lie. And after this week as well, more than anything, I feel so comfortable and safe and certain hanging in the unknown, hanging in the present moment. Because again, if something is known to us, it's known, it's not new. So we need to go to the unknown. We need to go to the invisible. We need to go to consciousness, to energy, to bring about a new reality. Because if it exists, it's known. It's not new. We have to go to the unknown. And I've just got so comfortable. And because it is 1,000,000%, I've seen the science. It is 1,000,000% real. It is irrefutable, the science he has. I am even more so connected to that invisible field. I've spoken about it before. A Course in Miracles calls this reality that we live in, it's reality with the small r, because it's not the ultimate truth. And then consciousness is reality with a capital R, because that's where everything comes from the unseen, from the invisible. And if we cannot get there, if we cannot use that to our advantage, you're always going to be living in survival, in struggle, in Newtonian physics of, if I want X, it's already separate from me, so I have to move my body and everything through physical space and time to get to Y. And there's a lot of effort and there's a lot of hustle. And I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that we just sit in our ass and do nothing, because action is always required. But it's very different, the reality of how we truly create our lives and create change versus what we've been taught. And this aligns actually with my new program, Unlimited Luminous Self, that literally channeled through me over Christmas, that I launched last month. It is this exact work. And even after going to his retreat and what channeled through me and what I've shared, I was like, wow, it is so on point. And again, I'm not coming from Karen ego sense in that way. I'm coming from Oh, wow. I am so grateful for the consciousness and the information that is moving through me because when I, Karen, the human, step aside and just let that move through me, it is so incredible and beyond what I could possibly comprehend at times in this 3D reality. And it is so on point and just about dissolving the old conditioning and limitations and programs that block us from our truth because our truth is there. Our truth is we are love, we are limitless, we are unlimited, we are luminous, we are souls having a human experience, we are a part of source. That is our truth, and we are perfect, whole, and complete. And I have that 1 billion% conviction now after seeing the scientific proof and evidence of it. Like I say, I lived it, I knew it was true, but doubt would creep in sometimes. I'd be like, because let's be honest, it's not the way the masses live. I would question and doubt sometimes, going, do I really, is this really true? Like maybe I'm crazy or delusional or lost my mind. Whereas now, no, I'm like 1 billion% all in. It is absolutely the ultimate truth. So that program I came through, that just was confirmed to me as well. But again, we are whole, perfect, and complete. There's actually nothing to fix. There's nothing to fix because we're not broken. But what we are placing our energy on, what we are placing our attention on, is what we are giving our energy to. So it's just about dissolving. And I saw this in the very last meditation. It's like all of the sadness, the pain, the sorrow, the shame, the not feeling good enough, the playing small. These are all just layers that we have put on top of ourselves, layers of protection that we have learned through our life experiences to block the preciousness, to protect the preciousness that we are, this like literal life seed and bubble of consciousness that we are. When you think of a newborn baby, like they are so precious and they are so vulnerable and they are so beautiful and they just make your heart explode with love. But that's our essence, that's our truth. And that's what I connected back to again. And everything that is not that does not need fixing, it does not need healing, it just needs to be dissolved, released, so more and more of our true expression can bubble up to the surface. And bubble up to the surface for me is exactly what happened during this retreat, which again, I had no expectations. I just follow my intuition. I didn't have, I mean, yes, I had an intention, but I remember it was the Sunday as well, the first meditation of that day at 6 a.m. I got to this space again, this liminal space, beyond space and time and just pure consciousness. And as Dr. Joe is always talking about the void, and he's getting you into the void and the present generous moment and the space and just noticing the space, and it's all dark and black. But then I started to see, which I'd seen throughout the week, like movement. It was like I was in a massive, 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 massive ocean, and it was really dark, but I could see movement. Even though I couldn't see colors or anything, I knew it was like moving. And I meant it, to describe it, because it's very hard to describe. I felt like I was in the depths of the ocean, but like it was huge. The expansiveness I couldn't see in any direction. It just went on and on and on. And I could get this sense, and I could hear like this little noise, just sense of kind of floating and being part of it. So there was movement, even though I couldn't see like waves or ripples or colors or anything like that. I knew it was moving. And it was something I've experienced many, many times before during my plant medicine and ayahuasca ceremonies, particularly. That, and I was really looking, looking from my mind's eye and really from my mind, trying to figure out, going, but what is it? Like, I've seen this before, I felt this before, I've looked on this before, and I'm like, but what is it? And I was really trying to figure out, like, what is it? And I was waiting for a vision or something to open up, and I was like, what is it? Show me. And it just was there and moving and whatever. And next thing, a thought dropped in, or a reminder dropped in from what Dr. Joe shares all the time, that in the quantum, there is no separation. So Separation is Newtonian. Separation is 3D physics. So if or Newtonian physics, 3D reality. Separation comes from lack. So I'm here and I see I want a house. So I'm here, say the house is over there. That is separation. So that takes a huge amount of energy then to manifest that. But in the quantum, there is no separation. So the thought itself is the experience. And this is why when we're manifesting from our truth and from consciousness, and again, from what I'm teaching in my new program, Unlimited Luminous Self, the thought is the experience. That's why when we think and feel as if it's happening now, it is happening in the quantum, and that is causing waves to collapse into particles and bringing it to us. And that's why it's so important we keep doing that and we hold that frequency until it materializes in our 3D, because it will, it has to, it is law, it is science. But most of us give up, or we think it'll never happen, or we keep looking and we stop doing the work, so it doesn't come about. So I had this thing going, oh, the thought, if I'm thinking and looking for something, I'm separate. And then I was just like, oh my God. And he had this image on the screen beforehand of just this like upper torso, and the third eye and the heart chakra were beaming with the light, because, his work again is all about heart and brain coherence, to get our body and our energy and our mind in alignment to what we want, which again is what I talk about in Unlimited Luminous Self. Once they are aligned and once we can feel, think, know, and act like it's done, it will be done. But we can often think positively, but then in our body we feel restricted and constricted. So that's not alignment. So it's not going to come about. That's why you cannot think yourself to positive thinking and manifesting all the time, because the body is what brings it to us. So next thing anyway, just that image dropped in, and then I was like, shit. It was like this image had reversed behind me. So say, I'm standing here looking forward. It's like this image just came around behind me, and I realized that I was in it. Like that was me, as in everything that I was looking on is source. It is the ultimate reality. It is the truth of life and where everything comes from and all potentials and realities exist. It is this void. It is this vast, immense space of pure potential. And I was looking out in it, remembering from a human body, trying to decipher what is it, what is it? So that's separation. Whereas it dropped in going, shit, no, like I'm here. I am it. I am part of it. Like I don't need to look on it. And then, all the old realizations of we are what we are seeking, and we are the source, and everything lies within. It just exploded on a whole new level. And I was like, oh my God, because, oh, and we are what we are looking for. That was a big one as well, going, shit, like I was looking out, but it's actually me. It didn't connect before that it was me. I am part of it, not me, Karen, like source energy part of it. So that was huge. And I was like, shit, it is me. So I stopped searching then, because I was like, well, I'm part of it. It is part of me. I am source. So yeah. And then a whole new level opened up. So the day before, we'd been working on the pineal gland for 5 hours. We are learning about the pineal gland, the potency of the pineal gland. And I always thought my third eye was open. But then, I don't know, my pineal gland and visions that I had seen the day before in some colors. Next thing that came back online, and it's like my third eye opened. I thought it was open, but I literally saw an eye open, and it was like a little baby, a newborn, if they wake up from a sleep and they're like hard, or anyone, it's hard to open your eyes and you're like, oh, the colors and wow, and it takes a minute to fully open them. It was like that, and I was looking at it, but then it opened and it was the most beautiful. Well, it was all multicolors from kind of parts of what had started the day before. And it was this beautiful multicolored, looked like I don't know why the word savannah keeps coming to me. I need to Google what that is. But it was beautiful, nearly celestial, iridescent colors of pinks and purples and all of it mixed in. And then this eye and these really long, kind of what I perceived to be eyelashes. And it was so beautiful. But then it's like it was me. It was me finally looking at me. It was me finally connecting and seeing the source within. But also, this I felt like my inner child. It looked like the most precious, incredible, beautiful baby, which again, that's what we are. That purity, that innocence. And I was looking back at me, going, again, the truth of, oh my God, we are what we are looking for. And then I just exploded into tears. My heart just exploded because I was looking at this beautiful, it wasn't a full baby, but it felt like a baby. And all the words that kept coming to me were like, baby girl, baby girl. And I was bawling. And I felt really weak in my body. And I felt like I had just given birth. And I heard the words, I was blind, now I see. And yeah, it felt like that piece of this is what I've been looking for all along. My inner child, my inner baby, that beautiful, that beauty, that magic, that innocence, that purity that was so locked down because it's so precious. I had reconnected to it and my heart just exploded. And I kept just hearing, like, oh my God, you're here, like, and you were always there. And then I felt, I know I'm sharing it now, but I was in bits. I was absolutely bawling and in convulsions when all of this was coming through because then I felt really guilty, going, my God, I'm so sorry. And I was forgiving myself, going, I cannot believe that I had blocked you out. I had frozen you out, which again was a part of my journey the day before, which was me. I've been frozen my whole life. And I was like, I'm so sorry I froze you out and I ignored you and I didn't realize that you were there all the time. And I was bawling and bawling and bawling and bawling. But although it looked like I was really suffering from the outside, it was bawling from pure love. Because every time I looked at this eye and this color, it was just this outpouring of love that I can only imagine, and a mother must feel when their baby is born. You're like wrecked and you're fucked and you're exhausted, but you're like, oh, you're here. And this explosion. So my heart was exploding and exploding and exploding and exploding. And I was crying and crying and crying and crying. And it was just so beautiful. And I was forgiving myself. And I was crying more and more and more and more and more and more and more love was pouring out of me. And it was just like, oh my God, baby girl, baby girl. It's just like mesmerized, going, my God, you were the most beautiful thing in the world. And I was just blown to pieces by her beauty, her presence, just her energy, her amazingness, her magic, her purity, her innocence. And I was bawling and bawling and bawling and bawling. And this was at the very end of the meditation, as in the meditation was about an hour and a half. For the first hour, through the whole process, I wasn't feeling much. And even I had the thought drop in for a minute going, yeah, this is my least favorite meditation of the whole week. And then I was like, okay, by thoughts, just stay really present on my body with my breath and the process, listening to his voice, the music. So I just stayed really present, but I wasn't experiencing really anything happening. And it was only at the very end when he was like, okay, lie down, drift off. And then he guided us. He was like, find a doorway and whatever. And that's when it all opened up. And then I'd say we were lying for a good half an hour. I was absolutely bawling for the whole entire time. Even when he called us back, called us back and said, okay, go out. And we were doing a walk-in meditation straight afterwards on the beach. I was still lying down. I rolled onto my side into the fetal position and I bawled and I bawled and I bawled and I bawled even more with just so much love, so much beauty. I was just mind blown of her and forgiveness and all of this. And eventually I was like, okay, pull myself up. And loads of people had already leaving the room. And then there was this beautiful girl sitting in front of me. And she was just sitting on her hunkers looking at me, waiting for me. This beautiful German girl, Vera, who I never saw again after that. And she was just sat there waiting for me to get up. And then I just stared at her in the eyes for a little bit. And then she gave me a big, massive hug. And then I bawled and 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 I bawled for longer. We were having a little chat and she was like, oh my God, thank you for sharing that and this, that, and the other. Then eventually we went out to the beach. I finally got out there. And as I was standing there, as we're starting into the next meditation, the walking meditation, I felt really nauseous. And I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to get sick. Or even I felt that towards the end of my own meditation inside. And I was like, I'm totally okay with puking because this is good. This is a purge. This is like plant medicine. I'm going to leave all of this old energy behind. But once I got on the beach and kind of planted my feet and grounded, it all just, it settled and that passed, which makes sense as well. So yeah, and then I had the most incredible walking meditation. And again, when I lay down in the end, this explosion of love again and just bawling and bawling and bawling and bawling. And then it ended that day. And then the Monday before I left that beach resort, I did another walking meditation that morning, the same one as the day before. And again, at the end of it, just at the end, again, the whole process, I wasn't feeling much, but at the very end, I connected back to that heart opening, explosive, like exploding with love. It nearly feels painful. There's so much, but it's so beautiful. And I was bawling and bawling and bawling and bawling, lying there on the beach for ages. I was like, if anyone walked by, because there wasn't the 2,200 of us on the beach, so at least you didn't stand out. Yes, there was still a good few people left, but not as many. So I just lay there and it was so beautiful. And I saw how every, every old, like uh, that any pain, shame, sadness, whatever the low vibe emotion is, it's all just unexpressed love. It's unexpressed love. We get afraid, we shut it down because we think, we're trying to protect this part of ourselves. But once we start to open it up and let it flow, and again, I'm not saying that that just happens overnight. I feel like this has been my 42-year journey so far. But oh my God. And since then, I am so connected to my baby girl. And it's really weird how in my energy now and in my body, it feels like the search is called off. I'm no longer searching. Even when I got back onto my laptop for the first time, I went to my emails and this wasn't in my conscious mind. I unsubscribed from so many different things. I always have loads of tabs opened. I close them because it just feels like the search is off. The search is off. I am what I've been looking for, but I finally see it and comprehend it on another level because I knew that cognitively. I'd connected to myself before. I'd opened my heart to myself before. I had developed self-love. This was a whole other level. So it's like search is off. And now it's just like, it's about get to work. It's about creating, sharing, doing, being me. And it feels so good and it feels so freeing. And it's just like, I'm here. You're here. It's like that big girl. It's like, you're here. You're here. Oh my God, you're here. You're here. She's here. I'm here. We're here. And we're here to be us and to do us. So, there's a lot of noise going on now, so maybe I'm going to take that as a sign to wrap this up. I've been talking long enough, but I'll be back. I'll share more. And also, I have to share so much on the Lumivite water because there so much came through on that as well, and what Dr. Joe is sharing and what this water is doing and bringing back the coherent light in ourselves. I'm like, that's exactly what this hydrogen water is doing. But they're bringing out a new bottle, Luma, which is, again, started coming through my meditations and the visions, and I can feel the energy, and it is next level coherence. So I'm going to come back and record another one on that. But for that, for now, that's a little sharing of my week. And I've found what I've been looking for. And it's, again, the old cliche, it's been me, which I'd found elements of before, but a whole new level has shifted. And yeah, call off the external search, go within, go within, go within is everything that you ever need. And I know many of us are on that journey like I had been as well. But the other part that came through so clear for me was don't give up. Do not give up. I cried as well for every single time I wanted to give up. Every single time I thought this is never going to work, but I still pulled my ass. I still did the inner work. I still showed up for myself. I still committed. I still did the meditation. I still did the inner work. I still changed my beliefs. I still made a different choice. I kept doing it, even though nothing was shifting, even though I wanted to give up, even though I thought it was crazy. I kept going. And that's what I leave you with is do not give up because now I'm like, oh my God, it was so worth it. Imagine if I gave up. So do not give up. Go all the way. We have no idea, none of us, when our come to Jesus moment will be, because that's what it feels like for me when we will truly wake up to our true selves. None of us know when that will be, but it certainly will never happen if you give up or stop the inner work. So the inner journey is the greatest journey you will ever take in your life. It is the richest journey that will ever exist in this world. And go all in and check out my program, Unlimited Luminous Self, which is all about this as well. And I'll be adding to that course as well as I go, and you'll have any additional updates as well included as I go. So, such a pleasure. Baby girl is here. Reach out, let me know how this lands, and I look forward to talking to you soon. And don't give up. Don't give up. You are what you've been searching for, and you just need to feel it, know it, perceive it, see it, live it, breathe it in a new way if it hasn't clicked in yet. And just keep showing up, keep doing the work, and it will shift when the time is right for you. I love you. Bye.